Welcome to week 2, where we're talking about creating what's called a customer avatar. And ultimately, the question that we're asking this week is, who are the people that you want to work with? So why do we need to create a customer avatar? So there's loads of reasons why it might be a great idea for you. We want to make sure that every time that we're talking to our customer base, whether that's through our website or through our social media posts, that we ensure that rather than just talking to a generic population, we are trying to hone in and get really specific on what our potential customer wants to hear. So every message that we put out, we can make sure is tailored to our very specific audience. We can make sure then that the marketing strategy, we might pay for advertising or put our marketing in a position where our potential market is much more likely to see it and engage with it. So it helps us to be more discerning about where we're putting our messages. Also, if we're thinking about our customer when we're creating products and services, rather than thinking, right, I'm going to make a mini course on something that I like, we would be able to prioritize where we put our energy and time into creating services and offering our services in a way that actually works for our customers. And I'll give you an example of this, that when I used to do trainings, I always used to offer a 1 or 2 day corporate training. So I would go into the office, into the building, and we would do the training on site for a couple of days. And it was only when I started getting clients in the hotel industry that I realized that doesn't work, because when you have shifts and people are on different shifts and, taking 2 days out from their business, it just didn't work for them. So we had to come up with new ways of creating our services or offering our services in a way that actually worked for our clients. So a really good way of understanding that different services and different packages work for different clients. Obviously, we can make sure that the messages that we're using are in the right tone for our particular client base. They're kind of grabbing our clients in a way that makes them feel understood, which obviously helps build rapport, which then helps us make connections. So what actually is a customer avatar? Well, it's a semi-fictional character composed of the characteristics you look for in the ideal client and or buyer, because we need to think, well, sometimes, although our end user, for example, might be senior managers, the people that are actually sourcing coaches for those people are perhaps the learning and development managers. So we would be marketing our services at them initially to make sure that they found us, and then we would deal with the end user separately. So we want to create characters that we can think about and second position when we're doing our marketing. And they can be real people that you've actually worked with, or they can be an amalgamation of several different people, as long as when you think about that character that you've created from real people, that it really sums up for you precisely who you're speaking to. And I'll give you another reason why this is so useful. So I used to really kind of feel a little bit bit meh about posting on social media, and I still don't really use it at the moment as part of my marketing strategy too much. And one of the reasons for that was I could never really think about what I actually wanted to say, what messages am I actually trying to put out there? I never felt passionate enough or specific enough. Like, I don't really feel like I have anything to say right now. Usually I feel like I have something to say when I've got someone in front of me and then I will speak to them. So of course, social media, where it's like, well, who am I speaking to? I don't really have anything to say that would help any one particular person. And a friend of mine said, oh, Jess, I wish you would post on social media, because every week I kind of think, oh, what would Jess say about that? What would Jess advise me to do? And she said, I'd love to have like a Jess in my pocket where I could just, take your advice and feel like every week I'm getting some really good pearls of wisdom. And that massively helped me, because I thought, well, actually, even if you just imagine speaking to you, so much easier for me, because I would think in my gut, oh, what would my friend like to, find useful this week? What would she like to hear from me? And it really, really helped to have a real person in mind that I was speaking to. So how do we do it? Well, first of all, start considering several of your favourite client experiences. Now, you may have between 1 and even 4 different avatars, but I recommend that you focus in on kind of the main one, the one that you're really wanting more clients like now, and ask yourself what made them so enjoyable to work with, and then consider several of the clients that you did not enjoy working with and what made them not so enjoyable to work with. Some of us work better thinking about what we don't want than what we do want, and that's fine, as long as you're very clear about the type of person that you do want to work with and the type of person that you don't want to work with. And it can be even helpful in your marketing when you're actually talking about a product for a particular person or working with a particular person. It can help them when you say, I work well for you if you're this sort of person. I will not be a good fit for you if you're this sort of person. And that can really help. So if you said, you know what, I don't want to work with someone who needs a lot of therapy. I just want to work with people that are ready to go get their goals, maybe have a few limiting beliefs, but they're pretty much, they're already on the way. Then you could phrase it in such a way as, if you're just starting out on your personal development journey, I'm not for you. If you've been going for a really long time, but there are some few limiting beliefs that are really sticking, then I'm the best fit for you. So you need to decide, what do I like about the people that I have enjoyed working with? What made them so enjoyable? Was it their age group? Did that really fit well for me? Was it the subject matter? What you get to decide what was great and what was not so great about it. Be honest with yourself, and then start putting the avatars together. So start with one, and this could be, okay, this is one of the one-to-one clients that I like to work with, and let's give our avatar a name. And that helps you just to identify them and think, right, what age are they? If there's a spectrum of ages, so a group between 20 and 30, for example, then choose someone who's 25, pick the middle of that age group. Gender and location, if they matter, but obviously for your avatar, you're going to have to kind of create that and imagine that. A financial situation, now that could just be earns 50 grand a year, or if they're self-employed, how much do they earn, or if they are retired, affluent, give a sense of how much available money do they have, how financially free are they. Professional background, so job roles, what do they do as for their career if it matters, but always choose something specific for your avatar. Family and lifestyle, are they married? Do they have kids? You just give your avatar a family if having a family is typical of the type of people that you work with, or if it's important. Their experience of coaching, I think this is quite important. Do you want to work with someone who's just starting out, who's perhaps fairly low self-awareness? When I think about my own personal development journey at the beginning, I was so not self-aware that I remember having these massive aha moments, but I had to go quite slowly because I hadn't done any of this before. Whereas now somebody could put something to me and I would immediately review it and think, yeah, okay, that could be an issue for me. There's a very different skill level if you've not been doing this very long as a client, and you just might prefer working with people who are starting out on their development journey, or whether they've had huge traumatic experiences. Some people just don't want to work with people that are highly traumatized, and that's okay. There is someone out there who does. So you work with people who've had the experience of coaching that you want to have. Goals and dreams. What kinds of size goals and dreams do they have? Are they asking for something in particular? What challenges and pain points? So it could be people, going through a divorce, people with low self-esteem. You choose. And then what social media platforms would they typically use? So my learning and development managers, I would, even if I know that they use Facebook and Instagram, I'm probably going to talk to them where they expect to be spoken to, which is LinkedIn. Whereas my, particular age groups, Gen X, for example, love a bit of Facebook, perhaps younger people, Instagram, and then younger still, TikTok. And again, you show up on the platforms you like. So you don't have to show up on platforms that you don't enjoy. You don't have to do social media at all if you don't want to. If you are going to do social media, it's worth thinking about accounts that they might follow. Other people who kind of talk similarly to you about the subject. And then there is some hacks that you can do if you get into things like Instagram. If you follow the accounts that your client base will follow and interact with those accounts, you may come up as suggested on that person's feed, which then creates more followers for you. So there's loads of little hacks like that if you're interested in using social media, again, just follow. Choose whatever social media you can do and then follow people who tell you how to use social media to get the best out of it. There will be some tips and tricks along the way in this program, but on the whole, it's quite a specialized approach and there's so much to learn. And if you're interested, it can be a lot of fun. Now, we're going to use ChatGPT to do a lot of the legwork for us. So one of the things you can do is use ChatGPT to put together the avatar for you. So you can just sort of give it a vague description of people that you've liked working with, and then just say, ask me some more questions to help me put together my avatar. Or I think I might have 4 avatars. Can you help me discern which are the 4, and then help me put a professional customer avatar profile together? And so use the prompt that tells ChatGPT that it's supposed to be an expert marketeer or marketing consultant, and that you're operating in that sort of scale of your business, so it really understands how to work with you. Prompt number 1, ask me the necessary questions to create a professional customer avatar description or profile. Help me tailor my website, brand and social media presence for my customer avatar. Give me some marketing ideas for how to reach my customer avatar. Write me a website optimized for attracting my customer avatar. There is no end to what you can do. You can ask it about social media strategies, marketing strategies. You can ask ChatGPT anything. One of the things that you can do is you can say, write me a list of pain points for my customer avatar. Write me a list of, questions they want answered. And then by that, you can start creating a strategy on social media, for example, by saying, create 100 prompts for me to create social media posts from. And then you can ask ChatGPT to write those posts for you. If you give it some background about what you do, and there's really so much that ChatGPT can do. Although the posts have to be yours, they have to be your thoughts. At least you could get some prompts, some basic a sense of what you might post. Some people find it much easier, myself included, when you've got something to work from. So you can see that, almost there, but I'll just change a few bits here. I'll change the quote. So utilize ChatGPT to start with to get that customer avatar created. Now, the best thing you can do once you've created your customer avatar is, because you'll be able to position now where you've created your vision and you started to think about what your special gifts are and what you do as a coach, what you're offering as a coach, and who you're doing it for. So you're starting to get into a really good position where you can succinctly describe what you do and who you do it for. So the next thing to think about is get clear on what you do, get clear on who you do it for, and then, of course, you can start telling everyone that will listen that is what you do. And as you start to align with that more and more, so you start to feel more confident about the fact that that's what you do and that's what you enjoy doing, you'll start to align with it. Any limiting beliefs that come up, work on, and so that you start to align more and more. Yeah, this is what I do. This is what I love doing. And then, of course, as those opportunities come up, just be ready, tell everybody, that's what you do. And then when the opportunities come up, just say yes, and make sure you have the integrity to say, you know what, I have no idea if I can do that or not, but I definitely will by the time it comes around. So tell everybody that you meet what you do. And in the next section, there is the 30-second sales pitch, and like an elevator pitch, where ultimately it's not so much a pitch, but you succinctly tell everybody what you do, who you do it for, give them an example, and then relate it to the person you're talking to. And that way, everybody you meet goes away with an absolute concrete idea as to what you do, who you do it for, and they become your army of salespeople walking around referring you to left, right, and centre. And over the last 18 years, that has pretty much been how I've got every client that's come to me. It's because everybody knows what I do. They are the example most of the time if they're referring, or they're using a friend as an example that's worked with me. And it is the best way to get these warm leads, people coming into you who already know what you do. They've got an example, they understand, and all they want to do is ask me what I can do for them. So in the next section, go ahead and create your 30-second sales pitch. And next week, we're going to be looking at your origin story and how we sell the problem to our customers instead of the solution.